On today's episode of Just a Girl Under a Tree reading a book, asking it to love her, I have some help. I have my daughter Mayleah with me, and she is going to find a spot, well, specifically a tree, that I'm going to sit under to do the reading today. So as Mayleah is finding the tree that we sit under, I thought I'd talk a little bit about the author that I'm going to read from today. It's Emily Carr. And Emily Carr is considered an icon. So I'm not sure why the video cut out. I was talking about Emily Carr being an iconic author and sharing a little bit about her story. And Mayleah has found a perfect spot. And
here, I want to show you this again.
Mayleah found a rock. Someone had painted on that rock and left it in the forest.
I think so you can find.
Maybe you can paint a rock soon and put it under the forest for someone to find, or not paint, whatever you feel like doing.
Yeah, like you can keep it, but if I had a decision, I think I would pick to hide the rock somewhere so someone can find it.
That's a great idea. So the video cut out. I'm sorry. Can you show your spot again that you found for us?
I'll sit on the bench. Also, if you want, you can sit over here and stuff.
Great.
I'm not doing all the way, but you can.
And I'm losing my daylight, so I better do that sooner than later. Are you going to look for more treasures as I read?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll set up. I just thought I'd share a little bit more about Emily Carr. So she is considered an icon in the Canadian encyclopedias. It's a little bit dark here, but we'll work with it. It's a beautiful spot, May. I love it. The spot that May picked has it has a group of beautiful trees. And it even has a bench here. Should I sit on the bench or under the...
I think it would be comfy to sit on the bench, but hopefully it would be good to sit under the tree.
I think I'm going to pick the little tree grove. You seem the most excited about standing under there. So Emily Carr is... That is cool. The birds are talking to us. She has this one section in a book called The Book of Small, and I chose it because it talks about the silence of the forest and the noises the birds make, and just the way she words things is just a bit magical. So it's very fitting too that I have May with me today, because she wrote these memoirs, I have a hard time with that word, when she was a little girl, and the books really portray things through the eyes of a child. Everything from irritating ants to tragic pet stories to just how she viewed her quiet hometown, which was quiet at the time, the Victoria, Metchosin Highlands area, which is now very, very different than when she grew up. So I think I said her dates. The year she grew up from her writings was the 70s and the 80s, 1870s and 80s. She was in the Victoria area. Oh, we have a little doggy coming. Oh yeah, sure. I'm just talking about an Emily Carr book. We're on a path where we get lots of people through. So I shall get to it. I'm just gonna set up. I better get to it because I'm losing my light. So this is the book. It's in 1942. This is a first edition. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's a really pretty frontispiece. I am posting this up on Ash Tree Books. And there's actually a picture of her on the back here. Beautiful first edition. And did I just lose the page? Uh-oh, May, I lost my page. Oh, I found it. I was going, like I was scrolling and it stopped. It's like it was meant to be. So, it's called Silence and the Pioneers. The silence of our western forests was so profound that our ears could scarcely comprehend it. If you spoke, your voice came back to you as your face is thrown back to you in the mirror. In a mirror, sorry. It seems as if the forest were so full of silence that there was no room for sounds. The birds who lived there were birds of prey, eagles, hawks, owls. They had a songbird loosed his throat, the others would have pounced. Sober-colored, silent little birds were the first to follow the settlers to the west. Gulls there had always been. They began with the sea and had always cried over it. The vast sky spaces above, hungry for noise, steadily lapped up their cries. The forest was different. She brooded over silence and secrecy. When we were children, father and mother occasionally drove beyond the town to Saanich, Metchosin, or the Highland district to visit some settler or other carving a home for his family in the midst of overwhelming growth, rebellious, untutored land that challenged his every effort. The settler was raising a family who could carry on from generation to generation. As he and his wife toiled at the breaking and the clearing, they thought, "We are taming this wilderness for our children. It will be easier for them than for us. They will only have to carry on." They felled mighty trees with vigor and used blasting powder and sweat to dislodge the monstrous roots. The harder they worked with the land, the more they loved those ruddy little brown patches among the overwhelming green. The pioneer walked round his new field, pointing with hard and twisted fingers to this and that which he had accomplished, while the woman wrestled with the inconveniences of her crude home, planning the smart, modern house her children would have by and by. But the children would never have that intense joy of creating from nothing, which their parents had enjoyed. They would never understand the secret wrapped in virgin land. And that's the first paragraph from a section in this book called Silence and the Pioneers. Again, it's Emily Carr, and it's a first edition. It was subsequently printed in London at the same time, and often the Canadian editions, if they were printed at the same time, were considered the second edition. So, a first Canadian printing, but possibly considered a second printing as it was subsequently printed in London, although a Canadian author, and this is the Canadian release. So she writes beautifully. We're losing our light. May, what have you found? Did you find any treasures?
I just realized that I kind of, Mom told me you can just sink this leaf underwater. It might kind of look dark because I think it's starting to be dark. And also, I was just getting some pine cones, but this is just a walk.
Right on. Well, I think we should start walking back. We're losing the light.